Welcome to my brand new guide and tutorial on how to trim a fluffy dog's head step by step, my friends. Many people find it very challenging to complete the perfect round fluffy head trim on a dog. This is the most common head trim in pet grooming. In this video, I want to step above to help you learn today, my friends. Of course, I'm going to show you all my secrets to getting the perfect head trim on a fluffy dog, but not only that, I've created visuals so you can take screenshots as we move through this lesson together today. These are going to be your own little blueprint for the perfect trim on a fluffy dog's head. No more guesswork for you, my friend. Everything you need to know is in this detailed video. Let's get to it. This lesson starts with knowing what we want and making a plan to achieve it. The eyes and the nose make a perfect triangle, and this is the center of our round fluffy head. Are you with me? So picture that round shape we're after, and we want the eyes and the nose to create a perfect triangle right in the center of the shape that we're going to achieve with this trim. I've already set the body with a 1/2 inch guard comb. So that work has already been done, and that dictates what guard comb length we're going to use to set the top of the head and under the jawline. I like to go 2 guard comb lengths higher on the top of the head than I did on the body. With Nestle here, I used a 1/2 inch on the body and the legs and a 3/4 inch on the top of the head and under the jawline. With the ear set, we have a couple of options for a round face. We could have an ear that is separated from the top skull, like Honeybee here, or we can have an ear that is incorporated with the entire shape of the round head. That's what we're going to do with Nestle here today. So the entire head is all one unit, including the ear. Inspiration photos are so helpful because you can actually draw on it, my friends, and you can create the shape you want before you get down to go time, groom time. So we're going to scissor a straight line from corner of the eye to corner of the eye, which creates her visor, and connecting that line using the nose as our center is going to create the foundation for this head trim. Now how much fur are we going to leave on the top of the head and under the jaw? I don't want her beard hair to be way down here and her top knot hair to be way up here. It's going to be unbalanced. Remember, I choose my guard comb length to be 2 guard comb lengths higher, longer on the head than I use for the body. Now that I know what guard comb I'm using to set the length, I'm going to make 1 to 2 passes in the top of her head, covering the area from the corner of the eye to the corner of the eye on top of her head. Back to that triangle. That's our guide. I'm going to use the same guard comb to come directly under her jawline, just what's under her muzzle. The same area we covered on the top of the head, we are covering under the jawline. So we know we set those 2 lengths the same. We're going to scissor everything else into those lengths. This is how we're going to get a round head trim. And setting these lengths first is going to help us to determine how much of the cheek hair we're going to leave. Now I'm just going to open up the corners of her eyes with this little Joyzy mini hornet. This is the mini. It's like the size of a pencil, and it is a very close clip. It is a 40 blade, so you need to use it only in the appropriate areas. Be sure to use very little pressure. This clipper is great for this because I can be very precise, and I'm just coming in a little inverted V shape and opening up the hair in front of her eyes. Use your comb and remove all the clippings that you just clipped. You want to keep your work area clean. Now we're going to refine this head shape a little on the side of the jaw, on the cheek area. Using the blade you used on the body, in this case was a 1/2 inch guard comb, in a U shape from the hair length we set under the jaw to under the ear, we're going to redefine, kind of reinforce what is body trim and what is head set. Are we having fun yet?
Yes, it's a lot of fun.
We're going to continue refining this shape all the way around the dog's head, all the way around the skull and the jawline. Those are your lines, your guides to follow, the skull and the jawline. That's where you scoop off. These videos I make are very informative, and I know it's a lot of information coming at you at once, so go ahead and take a break and smash that like button and hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss any of my videos. Now all the clipper work is done. It's time for scissor finishing work. This is the magic. This is the part that takes time to perfect. So be patient with yourself, my friend. Comb everything forward over her brow, and we're going to open up these eyes. From the corner of the one eye to the corner of the other eye, we're going to make a straight line. Holding your dog and your shears steady, you're going to gently and carefully make this first cut. Picture these lines as you're making these cuts. You may have to comb it out 2 or 3 times and trim it again until you get all the hair over her eyes nice and even, and we've made that first trim to open up her eyes. Now, just using the very tip of my blending shear, I'm going to open up this area here between her eyes a little bit so it creates a little bit of a fall, gives her a little more natural look. Blending shears should only be used if you're very comfortable and precise and accurate with them, because you can certainly cut a dog with a blending shear. Comb all the hair forward under her eyes, and we're just scissoring a kind of a round half moon shape here on top of her muzzle right there. This is going to soften everything and not allow that hair to be obstructing her view in front of her eyes. Notice I'm doing something many of you may not be. I am combing out the hair again and again with every trim I make. Just don't come down the side. You don't want to come down. Comb out the clippings, and I'm going to grab my blending shear and I'm going to soften that line. And when I say soften, I'm just thinning it out so that it's just not as prominent. And always comb out the clippings that you just clipped. This will get tangled in the hair. Now let's define the ear from the cheek. You want to lay the ear back, not pull it back, because when you pull it, you change the way the hair lays. So you want the ear to lay back nicely. If you pull it back, you're not going to be accurate in your trimming. You want to lay it back, and then I just kind of hold it there. Just pin it there. It's in its natural position. Comb everything down, back towards the front of the ear, and scissor the hair up in a little round shape in front of the earlobe. We're separating the ear from the cheek. There's a reason we trim that hair out from in front of the ear, because now we can clearly see the shape that we need to create for the jawline, and that's where we're headed next. Have you been taking your screenshots? Have you been saving these so that you can follow these steps in order? If you follow this formula, your head trims are definitely going to improve drastically. Comb everything straight down. We're going to create a U shape from under the nose to the base of the ear. And lean in on this. The longest point of this half moon shape is in line with the corner of her eye. And from that longest point, we angle back towards the ear. Comb it down and keep perfecting this shape, because guess what? You're going to use it as your guide for the other side. Everything you do to one side, you're going to do to the other. Just remember that. Now we're going to lay that ear back again like we spoke earlier. We're just going to hold it there gently in its natural position and pin it there so we can continue this shape under her jaw all the way under her ear. It's common for a dog to flinch when you're scissoring around the ears, so just be accurate. Notice I'm only using about the last quarter of my shear, so I have a lot of control. Now the jawline is set, we're going to round into the cheek. Comb it up first and then round your scissor work up in front of the ear. This side is set and we're going to match it to the other side. It becomes a guide. Use the one side to be your guide for the other side. Then you know it's going to align. If this feels too overwhelming and you would like a shortcut to trimming a fluffy dog's head, I have a great video that you can watch after this one where we'll set all the length on the head prior to finishing the head with our scissor work. This is a huge time saver, shortcut, and it looks great. This method is used in pet grooming every day. Setting the length on the head with guard combs will automatically set your head trim up to be balanced, symmetric, and offer you the option to do a lot less scissor work to create those shapes. So I will link that video in the description below. I'll also stick it up here in the card on the screen for you. That is a great option if this is feeling a little too overwhelming, a little too much scissor work. You can eliminate a lot of the scissor work with your guard combs, and that video will show you how to do it. I like to give you options. You can basically steal a few methods from this video that you're watching with Nestle, and you can take a few tips from the video you watch with Louie, which is Dog Grooming Steps for Dummies, and you can create your own specific head trim for the dogs you groom, depending on your experience level. So you have options, my friend. Now let's get back to Nestle. Before we move to the right side, I want to tidy up right here under her chin and round that up into her muzzle hair. Fluff out that cheek, look at your dog straight on, and make a round shape on the side of the head. And now we're ready to move over to the other side. Looking at your dog straight on again, we're going to scissor a little notch here on the right side that matches the left side, so we know our length is going to be the same. Now we can coordinate the two sides to match. We're going to make the U shape on the other side of her head. Comb everything down. Don't forget the comb. We're going to scissor that round shape here in front of the ear on the cheek. Find where the ear is and separate the hair with your shear and continue to make that half moon shape right here on the side of the head. Remember, the corner of the eye marks the longest point of this half moon shape. I'll pause here for you to take your screenshot. Now we're going to tidy up the hair here behind the ear. You need to look at your dog from all these angles, and you need to stand behind the dog. And I'm using a blending shear here. I'm just going to redefine the shape. I want the dog looking normal, sitting comfortably, because this is the way the dog's going to look when they're done. Pull that ear up and out of the way so you can see what's hanging out behind the ear. Now standing in front of your dog, looking at your dog straight on, let's make sure that both of our sides are lining up. Tip the nose up. This is going to help you be able to accurately reach these areas carefully and safely. Just keep lining up one side to the other. Your opposite side is your guide for the side you're working on. The angle of your shear matters too, depending on what area that you're working on with your scissor work. Notice here, take a look at the angle of my shears. Do you see that? It really matters. So think about that too. As you're creating the shapes, the perfect little fluffy dog head, we want the angle of our shears to be aligning with the shape we're creating. In this case, we're using our blending shear to round up the muzzle and the cheek, round them together. Remember how we assessed this head trim before we started placing it on Nestle. With Gus here, he has a different headset. He has more of a dome over top of his ears, and his ears hang lower because the top of his head has a lot of hair. That dome has a lot of shape. It can create a different look. With Nestle, we have to continue this round head from behind the ear, the base of the skull, where the skull connects to the neck. We have to continue that round shape. Notice I've used my thumb to pin her ear out of the way so that I can just work with the hair. I have her ear nice and taut against the side of her face. I often use my comb to touch the ear leather itself to remind myself where it is, and then I'll use my other hand to hold that ear out of the way. It's very important, but it helps you to continue that shape around the back of her head. Now we're going to separate the brow from the cheek. All the hair above the corner of the eye is top knot, and the hair below the crease of the eye is part of the cheek and the muzzle. So think about this before you trim it. Use your comb to show you where that hair is. What hair is top knot and brow, and what hair is going to be part of the cheek and the muzzle. If we allow the cheek hair to be part of the top knot, it's going to completely change the look of her eyes. I like to lower my table down a little bit for this so that I'm looking over top of the dog's head. The angle you look at your dog is very important. Having a firm grip on your dog's muzzle is important too, because we do not want Nestle moving while we're trimming around her eyes or her nose or her ears. Gotta have a nice firm grip, comfortable grip on your dog when you're working with them. At this point in our lesson here today, I have already set everything with Nestle's head. I'm just refining, making it look better. I'm going around it and around it and around it, all the areas, and making it look better. Now remember, we want a round head here for Nestle where her ears are incorporated with the top of the head too. Well, let me show you how we do that. So here you're going to find where is her ear set. Fluff up the hair over the ear and the top of the head, and with my curved shear I am going to make this all one shape. I'm not separating the ear from the head. I am making it one round dome shape. And we're going to continue combing up, looking at our dog from different angles, and continue that complete dome shape from one ear to the other. And remember, the one side of the head, the one ear set, is our guide for this second side. And yes, my arms are a human pretzel right now. Let's check the cheek hair here in front of the ear. So hold the ear back, pin it back. We want a round dome shape there on the cheek. So when we comb everything out, we can see what we have to scissor off. We're getting ready to address the length of the ear. I'm just going to continue to round and get this muzzle and the head to the right shape. The last thing I like to do is the length of the ears. I'm going to be releasing a video talking about chunker shears and blending shears with Nestle on this trim. I'm not including it in this lesson today because you really don't need to use chunker shears on this coat type. My blending shears, this 52 tooth blending shear, is actually ideal, but I do want to show you the differences. I do want to show you what it will do on a coat type like Nestle's on a fluffy dog. So look for that video to be coming out real soon. Now let's tidy up the bottom of the ear. This is an area of struggle for many people. I really just want to tidy up what's going on here. I don't have to trim the whole bottom of the ear, just the areas that are obstructing that nice round shape that's going to complement the round shape of her entire head. I also really only want the length of Nestle's ears to be similar to the length of her muzzle hair. It can be a little longer, a little shorter, but in this case we want her ear to tie in with her whole head set, so we don't want to leave it too long. So I'm really just creating another round dome shape on the bottom of her ear, and you need to know exactly where her ear leather is, what's hair and what is actually her ear. Set the length on one ear and then match the other ear to that ear so that you have a very balanced head trim and your ear lengths are the same. Last, I'm going to comb everything forward here at her muzzle, and I'm just going to soften up this hair, taking off that point that was there. You know, you don't want to have these sharp points coming out. You want everything soft and round. Looking at her straight on, I can do this and make both sides match. And this little fluffy dog's head trim is all complete. We hope that it has helped you. The only thing I'm going to do is put on just a little splash of iGroom cologne. Oh my gosh, does it smell good. I'm pretty sure Mom approves. Nestle and I thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in the next video.